Welcome to our class today, Wednesday, May 25th, 2022. This is our second class. So today we are going to cover handout 3 or Java Fundamentals Part 1. For the quiz, in order to be recorded, our quiz will be next Monday, and the date will be, I think, June 1st or no. Monday, May 30th. The timing instruction will be announced via OWL, mostly to be multiple choice and the true false. There is no code. I don't think. If there is, it will be one mark a question, simple thing. So, is there any question regarding the quiz? For lab 1, I extend the submission till midnight, almost midnight, 11:55 next Sunday. And in next Monday, we will release lab 2. So in today's lab, if your assignment is ready or your lab is ready, you can show it to your TA. If not, and you have any question, you have any concern, you can ask your TA and she will be more than happy to answer. Communication regarding assignment labs, you can communicate the TA and CC me in that email. Her email is available in the course description in OWL. If you have something else and you need to contact me, don't hesitate to send an email to me. Any question till here, guys? So which one you see, guys? Which screen? The one with the black things or the other one?
The one with the black things.
Okay, just a second. So now you can see the other one, right?
Yeah.
The full screen one. Okay, sounds good. So today we'll talk about Java fundamentals. What are the fundamentals? The parts of Java program, how Java program looks like, variables and literals, primitive data types, arithmetic operators, comments, programming style, input and output. So this is Java program. This is Java program. So this is a simple Java program. Normally we start with public class simple, public static void main, and this is the main function of the program, which is a member function of this class. We'll talk about that when we'll talk about object orientation. Now take it as it is. Then here we ask the system to print on the screen, system.out.println, line, programming is great fun. The output is as follows. This is what appears on the screen when the program runs. Program is a great fun. Or programming is a great fun. So this statement is an output statement. So the double hash will allow me to have one line comments. So it is one line of comments. It is one line of comments. So this is a one line of comments. Just give me a sec. So this would give me a one line So this is the one line of comments. Here we start with public class simple, and as a member, we normally call it main. It is not a reserved word, but we always call it main. And here is an output statement. Here is an output statement on screen. So the double forward slash in line 1 marks the beginning of a comment, and it would be a one-line comment. It is one line sorry, I start using this pen. I'm new to it, so I'm not very familiar with it. So it is a one-line comment. What does that mean? This mean if I move to line number 2, then here there is the compiler or the interpreter, as we explained last class, will start see what is in there. This one, it will be discarded as a comment. It's just something you type in your program. Normally, why we use comment? To put some comments about what this part do, what this statement do, what this function do, what this class do. We will see. Now, you will ask me if we need a multi-line, we'll come to it. The compiler ignore everything from the double slash to the end of the line. So it is a one-line comment. So it will take the whole line. It will take the whole line. It will take the whole line as something that should be ignored. It's not part of the program. Comments are not required, but comments are very important. Why comments are very important? Because they help explain what is going on in the program. So now don't think about simple programs that you are writing in homeworks or an assignment or during your study. But if you go to a company, whatever you become, a mechanical engineer, robotics, electrical, software, whatever. Sometimes you need to write program as engineer. So if you write a program and you are a part of the team, so you need to put these comments in order to let your colleagues or your team co-workers to understand what is in there. If you have a group project, you have to put comment once you merge pieces together of your project. This should be understandable by all other parties. So this is why they are important. Now, here in number 2, what do we have? What do we have here? Here we have a blank line. You see, we have a blank line. A blank line are often inserted by the programmer because they can make the program easier to read. Assume that you are writing an essay in using Microsoft Word. Sometimes you keep a free empty line in order like to differentiate between different parts of your document. Here, different line in order to organize and format your program to be more readable, easier to read. That's why we use the blank line. Can we ignore them? Yes, we can ignore them, and we don't have any blank line, but we need them in order to organize the look of our program to be more readable. Here, public, this is a reserved word. That's why it's appear in blue. Class is a reserved word. Simple is the class name. I choose this name. You choose as a programmer this name. Then inside it, we can identify what we call it class members, and there could be variables or a class arguments, we call it, and we should have the member function. What are the member functions? Those are functions that would be executed when they called within the class. All of those will be clearer when we have the object-oriented topic, which is after 2 classes from now, or maybe next week, sometimes next week. Okay, so line 3 is known as a class header, and it marks the beginning of the class definition. This line of code tells the compiler that the publicly accessible class name symbol is being defined. So here we inform the compiler that we are defining a new class called simple. A Java program must have at least one class definition. So if I have a program, I can put everything in one class, but at least I should have one class. In C++, I can write my program without any class. In Java, no, since it's a fully object-oriented language, so we need to have at least one class and write those things or parts of my program inside this class. Clear till here? Questions, guys? Java, same as C++, as also as JavaScript, many other programming languages like Python and some code of Python. This language, you should, after you identifying the class or a function or whatever in the program, we should let the compiler know here's the start. How it is, it will be in opening a brace, and how we will let the compiler know that we are done by the closing brace. So now if you see, we have one opening, second opening, first closing, second closing. How we will manage these? The closest closing will close the first opening, and this will be for this, which means that all the things inside the start and the end are included in this class, which we call it simple. And here we call it, after the opening and the closing, what in between, whatever. It's another class, it's a public void function, we're identifying arguments, assignment statement, output statement, whatever. All of those we'll call it class body. So line 4 contains opening brace, and it is associated with the beginning of the class definition. The last line in the program in line 9 contains the closing brace for the opening brace in line 4. Everything between the two braces is the body of the class that we call it simple. Questions?
Yeah, I have a question.
Go ahead.
So could you this is about things inside the class body. So could you explain what the meaning of string, the square bracket?
No, this is wait for them. We'll talk about data types, then we'll talk about string. String, it's a series or a sequence of alphanumeric symbols.
Okay.
We call it a string. What are those brackets? That mean it's a string as an array, not as an list. We'll talk about those once we reach to those. Okay. But here, public, static, void, main, string, args, we will use it always. We'll explain these one by one. Okay. Okay. Now we will start with the first thing. This, once we identify in Java they call it a method. In C++ they call it a function. Here we call it a method. So this is public static void. As I told you, those things are reserved word. What's the meaning of public? What's the meaning of static? What is void? We'll talk about. And main is the main function of this class or this program. And what is inside, we call them arguments, method arguments. What are they? We'll talk about them later. This is the first line after the closing parenthesis of the argument of the function name or the method name. We call it main. We call it method header. We call it method header. So line 5 known as method header, and it makes beginning of a method. The name of the method is main, and the rest words are required for the method to be properly defined. Every Java application must have a method named main, so we should have a main method. The main method is the starting point of the application. So why we need the main? Because the program will start the operation, the commands from the main. So it will start from here. After the main, after here, we will start we starting point of the application. Here is the starting point of the application. So here we have the method body. Here, the opening brace, here, and the closing brace here. After we have the method header, we call them the method body. All of those, they are the class body. In the method between the braces, we call it method body. Line 6 contains an opening brace that belongs to the main method, and line 8 contains the closing brace. Everything between the two braces is the body of the main method. Make sure to have a closing brace for every opening brace in your program. If you don't have, you will have an error. The program, if you're trying to compile, it will give you an error. Clear? Questions? Okay, now in the method body, we should have some statements. Whatever that statements, I'm identifying a new input or variable. I'm asking for input, asking for output, doing some processes. If a statement for loop, whatever, we call them statement area. So what this statement system.out.println, what does this statement do? The line 7 contains a statement that displays a message on the screen. So system.out.println, it will print the required line between the double quotes on your screen. At the end of the line, we should end it with what? Semicolon. If we don't end, we will have an error. It makes the end of a statement in Java. So semicolon, what is the job of semicolon in Java? It makes the end of a statement in Java. Not every line of code ends with semicolon. So if we have an if statement or some other statement, we don't have a semicolon, because at that time we end it and we don't get the benefit of it. Clear? Okay, now we'll give you some few information about Java, or introductory information about Java. Java is a case-sensitive language. Java is a case-sensitive language, so it's differentiate between capital or what we call it in computer science or in software engineering, uppercase and lowercase. What is the uppercase? Which is the capital letters. Lowercase are the small letters. So it's a case sensitive. If I write a student and starting with S capital, it will be different in the program than a student starting with S small. Any question about the case sensitivity? All Java program must be stored in a file with a .java file extension. We talked about this before. So when I have .java, that means this is a Java program. Comments are ignored by the compiler. A Java file may contain classes, but may only have one public class. We have public and private. We'll talk about them later. But at least we should have one public class. If a .java file has a public class, the class must have the same name as the file. Clear? So here, what we call the class? Simple. So the program should be simple.java with S capital. Java application must have a main method. So the Java application should have at least one main method. And it's one. It is one. For every left brace, opening brace, or what we call it opening brace, there must be a corresponding right brace, or what is called closing brace. Statements are terminated with semicolon, but comments, class headers, method header, and the braces are not ended with semicolon. So here, double slash marks the beginning of a comment. Parentheses, opening and closing used in a method header. Opening and closing braces enclose a group of statements such as contents of a class or a method. Quotation marks encloses a string of characters, which is a sequence of alphanumeric symbols, such as a message that is to be printed on the screen. Semicolon marks the end of a complete programming statement. These are characters that use and their meaning in Java program. So many of the program that you will write will run in a console window here. We use system.out.print and system.out.println methods to print out the console window. What is the print line? What is the print? We'll come to that later. Print line, we'll talk about them. The console window that starts a Java application is typically known as a standard output device. Okay. The standard input device is typically the keyboard, would be the keyboard. Java sends information to the standard output device by using a Java class stored in the standard Java library. Java classes in the standard Java library are accessed using Java application, or what we call it API, Applications Programming Interface. The standard Java library is commonly referred to as Java API. Examine the line, system.out.println programming is a great fun. This line uses the system class from the standard Java library. The system class contains methods and objects that perform system level tasks. The out object, a member of system class, contains the method print and the print line. Clear, guys? Questions still here? So system is a library. Okay, standard Java library. It has methods and objects. For example, out is an object when we say system.out.println. So system.out contains two methods, print and the print line. Questions? System.out.println. The relationship among the system class, the out object, and the print and the print line methods. So here we have system class and we have the out object. What is the system class? The system class hold out object as well as other members. So it's not only the out. Out is one member of the system class. The out object is a member of the system class. So it has a print and the print line. What is? The print method is a member of out object. Print line is another member of the out object. Questions till here? I'm showing you the hierarchy between a class, object, and what is inside the object. Clear? Questions? The print and the print line method actually perform task of sending character to the output device. The line system.out.println programming is great fun. Is a pronounced system.out.println. The value inside the parenthesis called an argument for the print line method will be sent to the output device, in this case as a string. What is a string? We said it's a sequence of alphanumeric symbols or characters. The print line method places a new line. So when you said print line, wherever the cursor, it will move it to new line and start printing. So here, since we use a print line, it will print. This is being printed out on two separate lines. So this will be in a line and this string will be in another line. This is print line. Print line normally start printing in a new line. Would be printed out on a separate line since the first statement send the new line command to the screen. The print statement work almost similar to the print line statement. However, it will not send the cursor to new line. It will not send the cursor to new line. The print statement does not put a new line character at the end of the output. So it will print. This line will be then after, because it's a print on the same line. Then it will send the cursor to new line. Produce the following output. This line will be printed on the same line. Notice the odd spacing. Why do some words run together? Who can tell me?
Could you repeat the question?
Why do some words running together? If you see here, be printed on the, there is no space between on and the, and between be and the printed. There's no spaces. Why they are together?
You need to put a space beside either the on or before the.
Yeah, nice. You catch it. So
I mean, sorry.
This will explain the print. So the print will print whatever is between the double quote. It will not add space or something. So if I don't put a space here or a space here, they will come together, the last and first word of the statement when I'm using a print. Print line, these lines will be printed on the same. If I use a print line, each one of them will be on separate line. Clear? Questions? For all previous example, we have been printing out strings of characters. Later, we'll see that much more can be printed. There are some special character that can be put onto the output. Like even if I use a print, I can make it as a print line by adding a /n. /n, that mean a new line. So this, the output of this will be the same as a print line. The /n in the string is an escape sequence that present the new line character. Escape sequence allow the program to print character that otherwise would be unprintable. So the /n will not be printed. However, it will move the cursor to new line. So the system.out.print will become the same as in the final result as system.out.println. Clear? Questions for the /n?
Yeah, I just have a quick question. So if we did system.out.println and /n, it would move 2 lines over then?
Yes.
Or, okay. Thank you.
Yes. You can, guys, you install Java, right? In your machines. Yes, no?
Yeah.
Okay, so you can just create a new program, add this code to it, then you can play with those examples and see what is the difference. And guys, if you need to understand the programming, there is only one solution: practice, practice, practice. 3 P's. How much you practice, how much you will understand and know. And try to play. Put a space. Put a space here. Put a space here. Put here. Use a /n without a /n before it, /n after it, and then use a print line. So you will start got the feeling of Java and how things are going to work. And this will also give you the experience in order how to format how the strings are printed in your screen, to make some shape, some kind of format that you feel comfortable with. So playing with those things, /n, print, print line, those would help you to understand more. So we have different escape sequence symbols. /n is a new line. /t, we are giving horizontal tab between 2 strings. /b, it's a backspace. /r, it's a retain, causing a cursor to go to the beginning of the current line, not the next line. So if I use /r instead of /n, then this one, the flashing cursor in the console will back to the beginning of the same line. Double backslash cause a backslash to be printed. If I need to print a backslash here, I have to put 2, so one of them would be printed. /quote, single quote, cause a single quote mark to be printed. /double quote, then it will cause the quotation mark to be printed. Questions?
Yeah, just a quick one. Sorry, if you could go back
Yes.
to the other side. What does the /t do?
It's give you the horizontal tab like 8 spaces or 4
Oh,
spaces.
just a tab. Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Yeah. Any other question, guys? So even though the escape sequence are comprised of 2 characters, they are treated by the compiler as single character. System.out.println, these are our top sellers. /n, /t, you see here, /n will move me to the beginning, then /t will give me a tab. Computer games, /n, /t, then it will bring a coffee underneath it, then /n and /t here as a beginning, and aspirin. So here, the way I told, if you play with it, you will start kind of formatting your things together, how it will look like on the screen. With escape sequence, complex text output can be achieved. Questions? break or shall we continue? Guys? Continue, okay. So 3.2, variables and literals. What do we mean by a variable? What do we mean by literals? We will see. A variable is a name, storage, location in the computer's memory, like integer sum. I'm identifying a variable named sum, and I book the size of integer in the memory to be used when the program is running. And when I'm saying a memory, which is the main memory, the RAM. So if I switch off the computer, it will go. A literal is a value that is written in the code of a program. Programmers determine the number and type of variables a program will need. So for example here, public class, we call it variable. Public static void main, string, and args, those you have always to write them. So we identify a variable of type integer, and we call it value. Then we give the value of 5. System.output, the value is print line value. So line number 5 contains a variable declaration. Here how we declare a variable. Variable must be declared before they are used. A variable declaration tells the compiler the variable names and the type of data withholded. So we are identifying a variable named value of type integer. So we will hold the size of integer in the memory. The variable names is a value, and the word integer mean it would hold an integer value. Notice that variable declaration end with a semicolon. So in line number 7, we give the value of 5. We call this assignment statement. When we put a variable name equal something, equation or single value or whatever, or a multiplication or a summation, it would be an assignment statement. The value is, and it will print it. So line 7 contains an assignment statement. The equal sign is an operator that stores the value on its right, in this case 5, into the variable named on its left. After this line execute, the value variable contains the value 5. Line 7 doesn't print anything. It runs silently behind the scene. So line 7, it's run behind the scene and it will not show anything in the screen. Here, it will show string literals. Display variables content. Print line value, it will print 5. The value of the variable. Line 8 send a string literal. This is a value, or the value is to be printed. Then line 9 send the name value variable to the print line method. When you send the variable name to print or print line, variable contents are displayed. So the content of value will be displayed. Because we said this variable, we are holding a location of the size of this type in the memory. Notice there are no quotation marks around the variable value. Questions? Questions, guys? Okay. So when we run it, it will give us the value is 5. And since we use a print line, then the cursor, you will find it here in the next line.
Actually, I have a quick question.
Yes.
So when you do the first system.out.print, what would happen if you put like a print line? Would it just go to the next line?
So the 5 will be printed in the next line. It will be the value is, and the 5 would be
And then
here.
5 is on the next
Yeah,
line.
if I use a
Okay.
print line or I use a slash n.
Oh, okay. Okay, thank you.
You are welcome. Displaying multiple items with the plus operator. So if I want to merge the string hello and the string word, what should I do? I'll ask print line hello between double quote, and see here we add a space. Here there is a space and word, so it will print hello space word. The value is plus 5, so it will print the value 5. The value is plus value, and if I have the value 5, it will print 5. The value is space slash n plus 5. Where is the 5? Will be the next line, because I have slash n here. So try these line of codes in your compiler and see the difference. We will have some more example by next class. We're still at the beginning. So I will run my compiler and we will start see the differences in some examples. What do we mean by string concatenation? Who can tell me what do we mean by string concatenation? String concatenation, I'm combining two strings together. This line is too long and now it has spanned more than one line, which will cause a syntax error to be generated by the compiler. The string concatenation operator can be used to fix this problem. These lines are space plus, so the plus will be used to concatenate two strings or more. Now okay, and will not cause the error before. Clear, guys? Try both codes in your compiler and you'll see the difference. But see, we add the spaces. If we don't add the R and now will be one word, the not and cause will be one word, but they add spaces here. Here is another example with the output. System.out.println, the following will be printed plus in a tabbed format plus /n/t first equal first, then it will be 5 times 6, then it will be a comma, then we'll have a new line and tab, then second the same thing, then third the same thing, and we end it with dot. So you see, we can add values, variable, then strings. Using the plus, we can concatenate all of them, but be careful about spacing. Questions? Questions, guys? Okay, let's have 5 minutes break. Then we'll go to the second part, which is identifiers. What do we mean by identifiers? So it is now 10:75. Let's back at 11:05. Let's back at 11:05. I'll stop or pause record. Then we will back. Let's back at 11:05. See you guys then. Okay, guys, welcome back. Welcome back. So we'll continue with identifiers now. What are the identifiers? Identifiers are programmer-defined names for classes, variables, and methods. Identifier may not be any of the Java reserved keywords. So identifiers are programmer-defined names for classes, variables, and method. Identifier may not be any of the Java reserved keyword. So can I say public static void or a class and name it a class? No, we cannot. So it should not be any Java reserved words. How do we will know the reserved word? The reserved words, we will get used to them whenever we are moving forward in the course, and with the time we will start notice that the reserved word are looked in different color in Java. Identifiers, there is a rules to choose the identifiers names. The identifier may only letters, small letters from A small, or the lowercase from A small to Z small, or uppercase from A capital to Z capital, digits 0 to 9, the underscore only, the $sign or the $sign. I cannot use alpha, gamma, these other symbols. We cannot use them with identifiers. The first character may not be a digit. We should start with a letter from A to Z, or a capital or small. So identifier are case sensitive. So as I mentioned before, if I use sample in S capital, it will be different than sample in S small. Items ordered is not the same as item order because the O in between is capital. Identifiers cannot include space, just the underscore or the $sign. Class names. Variable name should begin with a lowercase letter and then capitalize the first letter of each word thereafter. So integer, Canada, tax, rate, we capitalize T and R. Class name should begin with capital letter and each word thereafter should be capitalized. Big, little. So identifiers start with a small letter, but each word thereafter capitalized in order to be readable. Canada tax rate, and for the class name to start with a capital letter, and then we can capitalize the any other word which is big, little. This helps differentiate the names variable from the name of a classes. So it's like a good programming habit to use this. So if it starts with capital, that means it's a class name. If it starts with a small, that means it's a variable name. So these are the data types, what is called data types of variables. And those that are the primitive data types. We have more. Primitive data types are built into the Java language and are not derived from classes. There are 8 Java primitive data types: byte, short, integer, long. The second 4, float, double, Boolean character. Okay. Here are the range and the size in the memory that will be booked to each variable from this type. If I choose it a byte, then it will be 1 byte, and it can hold an integer in the range of -128 to plus 127, including the 0. Short, it's a 2 byte integer in the range of -32,768 to plus 32,767. If we choose the integer, it's 4 bytes. In C++, the integer is 2 bytes. Long, it's 8 bytes, and the float, it's 4 bytes, and double, it's 8 bytes again with a floating point. Long is an integer, double is a floating point number. Questions? Variable declarations take the following form: data type, variable name, byte, inches, short, month, integer, speed, long, timestamp. float, sales, commission, double, distance. So those are, we use here 6 data type of the 8 primitive data types in Java. Byte, short, integer, and long are all integer data types. They can hold numbers such as 5, 10, 23, 89, etc. Integer data type cannot hold number that has a decimal point or floating point numbers or real numbers. Integers are embedded into Java source code are called integer literals. Integer literals. Floating point data types. We have some data types in Java that allow fractional values are called the floating point number, or in math we call them real numbers. So 1.7, 45.316 minus are floating point number. So we have 2 primitive data types for float for 7 decimal point and double for 15 decimal points. When floating point numbers are embedded into Java source code, they are called the floating point literals. The default data type for floating point literal is double. So the default is double, not the long or float. Java is a strongly typed language. What does that mean? Literals cannot contain embedded currency symbols or commas. So I cannot use the $sign in a numbers. So we can enter it, or the comma, the separating comma for every 3 digits. So gross pay is 1257.00. In the print, you can add. Floating point literals can be represented in scientific notation, like 47,281.97. So it is 4.728197 times 10 to the power 4. Java use E notation, which is the exponential, represent values in scientific. So for example, it will be, instead of times 10 to the power 4, it will give you 4.7 E4. Questions? So these are the decimal notation. These are the scientific notation. Are the E notation. The E can be uppercase or lowercase. So it could be E capital or E small. Clear, guys? We reach to Boolean data type. The Boolean data type has either one of 2 values, true and false, 1 or 0, true or false. The Java Boolean data type can have 2 possible values, true or false. The value of a Boolean variable may only be copied into a Boolean variable. So I can use true and false only if I define them as Boolean variable. The character data type, the Java CHAR, which we call it character data type, provides access to a single character. Character literals are enclosed in a single quote mark, not double quote. Double quote for string, which is a sequence of characters. So we can have A small, Z capital, /n, number 1. Don't confuse character literal with a string literal. Character literals are enclosed in a single quote. String literals are enclosed in a double quote. Clear? Unicode. What is the Unicode? Internally, characters are stored as numbers. Character data in Java are stored as Unicode characters. Unicode characters set can consist of 65,536 individual character, which is 2 to the power 16. This means that each character take up to 2 bytes in memory. The first 256 character in the Unicode character sorry, set are compatible with the ASCII character set. What is the ASCII? It is the American Standard Code for Information Interchange, which is the code, for example, the A capital, it is 65, and for the A small, it's 97, I believe, the ASCII code. So Unicode ABC, so yes, it's a 65. So it's a 65 for A, 66 for B, 66 for 67 for C, and those are the uppercase or the capital letters. And I think the A small starts from 97, I believe. Variable assignment and initialization. In order to store value in a variable, an assignment statement must be used. The assignment operator is the equal sign. The operand on the left side of the assignment operator must be a variable name. I cannot put the equation from the left and the variable name from the right. It will not be after the equal. The variable name should be before the equal, then the assignment statement, then whatever, as either value, another variable value, multiplication, summation, whatever is the operation. The operand in the right side must be either literal or expression that evaluate to a type of the compatible with type of variable. For example, if I said integer A, then I put an assignment statement A equal 2.7 plus 3.3. This will not gonna work because I added two floating point number and assigned them to an integer, which is not the case. They should be float or double. Questions? So let me write this. For example, if I use variable A as integer, then I said A equal 3.1 plus 2.7 semicolon. This is wrong because I'm assigning a floating point numbers to an integer value. So this is wrong. Clear? This program shows variable initialization, public class initialize, we call it, public static void main, string and args, integer month equal 2, days equal 28. If I need to identify two variables here from the same type, I can use the comma, then the semicolon at the end. System.out.println month plus month, so it should be 2, has 28 days. Here is the output. So these are initialization with initial value. Variable can only hold one value at a time. Local variables do not receive a default value. Local variable must have a valid type in order to be used. Questions? Any question? So we are done. So we are done with the 3.1. I don't want to start with 3.2. Which talks about the parts of Java, variable, literal, primitive, arithmetic. In this class. So our quiz will be with these handouts. It will be next Monday at the beginning of the class. Our quiz will be the time you have for the accommodated student. They are considered under consideration. So we have more than triple the time. It would be a simple one, easy one. Because if I start now, I don't believe that I'll give you enough time to move to the university to start your lab. So if you have any question, please don't hesitate to ask. If not, you can leave. You are free to leave.
All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alex.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Shivali.
Sir, I have a question. Oh, sorry.
Okay, go on here. Do you want it to be a recorder or should I stop recording?
Probably stop recording, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.